Hey everybody, this is Paul Molinari from Popcorn GTM, and this is the Morning Sam, Morning Ralph podcast. And today we have a couple of really cool things that we're going to talk about. But first and foremost, I have a co-host with me. This kind of feels like the olden days when I had co-hosts. But today I've got Matt Haselhoff with me from One Goal Consulting. Matt, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, Paul? Man, it's been a while since we've done one of these. It's been a couple months, actually.
It has been a couple of months, and there's so many things that we've done a bunch of stuff together already, and you just got back from Food on Demand, I believe. How was that show for you?
Fantastic. Completely different vibe than some of the other shows. More of the, I would say, mid-market brands. The 25 unit to 250 emerging brands. I got to tell you, man, if anybody watching, the biggest takeaway is if you're not doing catering, go do catering because that was the theme of that show for sure.
Yeah, the catering it definitely felt. I felt the catering buzz, even 500 miles away. Nated online, there was a lot of cater speak.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? This is a restaurant technology podcast. Today we're going to talk about kind of the redheaded stepchild, I think, of the restaurant technology space, but such a power player in everything that it stands for. And that's for the love of accounts payable. We're talking about accounting systems and how account payable systems, specifically Factura, is helping restaurants manage through really what for many brands is an archaic and very painful process.
Morning Sam, morning Ralph, make it pop, make it pop, make it pop.
So today we have two special guests with us. You know what? Why don't we just bring them in? Alicia and Ben, how are you guys?
Hey, Paul, thanks for having us.
I kind of joke a little bit about the redheaded stepchild because I've been the redheaded stepchild before in restaurant technology, and that's called back office. And it's like, it's this thing that is this mysterious, nebulous thing that everybody has to have and everybody has to use, but yet nobody can really pinpoint exactly how it all works. And that's one of the things I want to go over with you guys today. Ben, help me out. Some of the numbers that I just see on your website, like, tell me about what Factura does and some of the in the ways it helps restaurants. Just a quick overview.
Yeah.
We'll get into the details later.
Yeah, for AP is just a big process for companies, especially growing companies, multi-unit companies, right? Where the AP, the invoices coming in from your vendors that need to be processed for accounting purposes just compounds over time. And, for a long time, that process is just manual. It's just people taking that piece of paper and entering the information into an accounting system. Some solutions have come into the market to help process that, but really you're just uploading a document and it's going overseas and other people are just coding it for you. So we're bringing a real technology, real OCR and AI and machine learning to the table to actually process and streamline, which not only increases your speed and your accuracy, but cuts down the accounts payable process time by 50 to 70% is what our customers are reporting. So the next gen of AP is here with Factura.ai.
So some of the numbers that you guys are touting on your site, like time to code an invoice is less than a minute, number of invoices coded without a human ever touching them are over 90% of the invoices that you process.
Right.
And your company is now processing over $1 billion, $1.3 billion annually in invoices processed. That's a pretty sizable number. Who are some of your clients that are bringing those numbers to where they are?
Yeah, well, thanks to Miss Alisia here, our director of partnerships. We're really breaking a lot of ground, and we already have had a lot of partnerships with accounting firms, but these major firms that have, lots of clients and hundreds of locations in their portfolio are seeing some of the biggest, results. So recently going live with my CPAs out of Wichita, they manage 2,500, locations, for example. So we've got a very big footprint in the McDonald's space with more firms that also run McDonald's, as an example. Over on the East Coast as well has just started with us, and they've got 300 or 400 restaurant locations as well. And then move over onto the direct side, a lot of QSRs in the top QSR 200 companies. So companies like Mouse Restaurant Group, MSI, which is also known as North Texas Bells. They've got Wingstops, Chicken Salad Chicks, Taco Bells. Red Berry, that's got, hundreds of Burger Kings, Taco Bells, bringing Jersey Mike's to Canada. So all the big QSR players and the accounting firms that Alisia brings to the table is really the bigger companies that are seeing these impacts.
That's pretty wild. You know what? Let's take a step back for a second and kind of. I probably did a poor job of introducing you, as I usually do, because let's face it, this is, I can't be everything to everybody. Alisia, can you introduce yourself? What's your role? What's your role at Factura? What do you do? I know that Ben said you're a head of partnerships, but what does that mean?
So I've been in the hospitality industry my whole career. I found my home there many moons ago and have been everything from a personal chef to running my own businesses to being a floor manager to being, involved with delivery when that first came out, and then found myself in the accounting side of the space in like the recent 8 past years, almost a decade. And so Ben and I both actually spent quite a few years at Restaurant 365. We built out their channel partner vertical, which for them, not the integration partners like the POS and the payroll and all that, it was the accounting partners, and leveraging those relationships to have accounting firms use Restaurant 365 as their general ledger. And so that kind of opens up I never spoke accounting before. I barely knew what a debit and a credit was. And learning the whole entire space of accounting was just eye-opening. And it's like, I feel like redheaded stepchild, I always say it's the least sexiest thing in our industry, but it's the foundation of everything we do. And I often hear people talk about their tech stacks, and they'll list all the things. There's no ledger. There's nothing accounting. I'm like, you guys, so being in this space the past couple of years, I left 365, went to Sage Intact, learned that ledger, then went to an accounting firm, which is currently one of the Factura partners, does the outsourced accounting, learned that model. And then Ben brought me on around a year ago to do that, build partnerships again, bring next gen tech to these firms that are in the weeds doing the accounting.
That's awesome. Yeah. And what I love about that is Ben's a big time product guy.
Yes.
That Ben understands the product up, down, sideways, can speak all of it about its nuances. But here you are, Alisia, kind of bringing it home to the normal people.
Yeah, 100%. And building
right, exactly. So
and Ben and I are like the 1-2 punch. That's what we were too. But
yeah,
with 365, he's product and the most technical knowledge. He also has his background in support, but so technical product. And I'm, the relationship and the building of the, the thing. And it's great. It's amazing.
Matt, one of the things that, you and I were talking about the other day was, when you think about these big brands and the procurement that they have and the what they have to purchase, like we were talking about, like think about a cheesecake factory.
Oh God.
Right?
Can't even imagine.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, the menu.
That behemoth, you have 100-page menu, you have 100-item menu, and each item is, built from scratch. So imagine the number. I mean, I know this, the thousands of ingredients that they have to purchase in order to build, to put together dishes. That's the purchasing. I can't even imagine how many.
And it's not just food.
I was going to say, and then you add in rent, utilities,
everything,
every single thing.
Everything.
Repair, maintenance, marketing, insurance. Yeah. All of it.
So that's the thing. That's the thing I really wanted to highlight in today's conversation was, restaurants aren't just food. I mean, these are businesses that require stuff. It's, food, it's paper, it's supplies. It's like you said, it's rent, it's utilities. If somebody is, you're getting invoices. So guys, typically how many invoices does a restaurant even typically see on a given month?
That's a great Ben question because it's very different from QSR to FSR.
Right. Yeah. QSRs can be between, 20 and maybe up to 50 at the most invoices per month per location. But then, you got full service groups that can have 250, 300 invoices per month, per location. So, we'll have a 30 QSR group, location group, and then we'll have a 5-unit, full service, and they'll have the same volume of AP at the end of the day.
So Okay, so you have 30 to 50 some odd invoices in any given month, and if you receive these invoices anywhere, like electronically through the mail, I mean, how do people typically, without your solution, how are they getting these invoices and how do they have to process them?
All kinds of ways, through the mail, like people mailing packets of paper to the central office for those people to take and unpack and look at and sort and then start to key into the solution. Vendors are also forwarding invoices via email, which are being extracted as well and downloaded to then be processed, as well as like EDI integrations, like you mentioned on the food side, right? Which automates, a lot of folks in terms of like using their restaurant management systems. But again, like Alicia said, AP is just beyond just those food vendors, right?
Yeah.
Companies typically have between 300 and 500 vendors. Maybe 4 or 5 of them are their food vendors, but the rest are not.
Yeah. Think about, you have 50 or 100 Taco Bells in a few different states, and window washing,
Yeah.
landscaping, like all of these things. And then the way that they come in the bill, there might just be like one invoice number and just location. It's the way that different companies even like parse out their invoices. I mean, this is all technical stuff and more in Ben's wheelhouse, but it can just be like you called the menu at Cheesecake a
Yeah.
behemoth. That's what it is.
Yeah. I, you just mentioned the stuff that we don't necessarily think about, the landscapers and, you may hire a janitorial crew, whatever it is. All of these things are coming. These invoices are all coming, and they're coming in different ways. So tell us a little bit about how Factura then. So what do you need to do to get integrated? Where does a Cura kind of fit in the ecosystem of the restaurant technology ecosystem? I mean, so you plug into an accounting system. Is that how it
Yeah.
works?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, so generally, like accounting systems with the GLs, you can process AP manually in those systems. You can pull up a blank AP invoice form, and then you can look at a piece of paper and go, here's the date, here's the invoice number, here's the item that I am purchasing, here's the code associated with that item for financial reporting purposes. So just a very tedious process if you were to think about it, right? And again, there's other solutions that have come up with document queues that you can upload these documents, but again, it's just people overseas doing the coding for you. So there's still a big delay in that process getting done. Also, all of this manual coding with all of these people leaves a lot of room for error.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a slow process, lots of room for error. When you run a financial report across, 200 locations, and then you start to see certain expenses are wonky, more or less at different locations, is because things are getting entered wrong. Then you got to drill in and find out what the problem was, call the person up and fix it. So lots of communication back and forth that comes with this process. Slow process and just getting the invoices entered. So Factura just streamlines all of that. So we being designed specifically for multi-unit businesses, which again, these are companies that have some of the hardest time in scaling AP because they have multiple units, right? You get an invoice and you have 300 KFCs, like our customer harmony management. Which invoice is that location? Which location is that invoice for, right? You got to
Yeah.
use some type of lookup, or you just maybe know off the top of your head for some reason. So there's just all kinds of room for just slowness and erroneous postings. So Factura was designed to just have one email. So all your vendors, for no matter how many brands, locations, companies, they can send all of those invoices to one email. Factura will pull that document into its solution, automatically code it. So we're modernizing the AP rule. So now you just have to review, approve, and then send it into the accounting system with the image, so you can have it as a reference. So, right, quite simply, we're just completely flipping the process upside down on its head. So overall, you'd see before Factura, companies touching 70 to 90% of invoices for at least one reason to over 90% untouched. And so again,
Wow.
just increases speed, accuracy, saves a lot of time on labor. And of course, all the headaches and the back and forth that you would get in a month-end close process where you're trying to process your financial statements. You're trying to finalize them for leadership and stakeholders and borrowing money from the bank, et cetera. Those numbers have to be accurate and they have to be timely. And so it just saves a lot of headaches and a lot of time.
And Ben,
Sure.
there's one thing I learned last week that I fully endorse is that your product is not here to replace human beings. We're not trying to eliminate positions, but what you're able to
Yeah.
do is refocus that energy to other parts of the
Correct.
business that maybe they didn't have time for in the past. So, I
Correct.
love that you're bringing AI, not to again eliminate because that's everybody's worry.
Yeah.
There's other parts of the business that I think get left behind because you've got people, not one person. You got
Right.
people having to
Right.
manually input all this data.
100%. And that's why we work with. Go ahead, Alicia. You got something?
Oh no, I was just going to say, I mean, it does change the face of offshoring. And I think AI will continue to change the face of offshoring. But onshore labor, small accounts, payable teams that we have groups that have 50, 60, whatever, Little Caesars. They have two AP people and they can add 5, 10 stores and not add more people. And like you said, repurpose those resources. But teams offshore that require management, oversight, tons of communication, like Ben said, they get sick, they get pregnant, they go on vacation. It's
Right.
it's so tedious, and it will be very interesting. It's a big conversation in the world of accounting, where Ben and I live more, is
Right.
how AI is going to change the face of offshoring, which has been so prevalent in accounting. So
Well, I love that. I want to stay in that vein for a minute because one of the things that, technology often does, it helps brands scale. And that's kind of a critical component, I think, to a good worthwhile tech. And you look at a Factura or and helping these teams scale. Alicia, you mentioned it. You have a Little Caesars that wants to open up a number of new stores. Well, that has a burden on the back office team, on HQ. So you look at some of these brands that are able to add, a dozen stores, 2 dozen stores, 100 stores. It's so much pressure is on the HQ because they're not necessarily adding staff to make those, to make
right,
those stores
right.
possible.
And AP
It's
clerks
always do
are
more with less, right? Isn't that
absolutely,
Yeah. These
absolutely.
people get
And
stretched.
AP clerks, it's just glorified data entry. Typically, even if you can find great talent, they want to do other things. They want to grow in their career. They want to grow out of being just entering invoices all day. So, like, give them that opportunity, bring in technology that can support them and allow them to grow in their career with you as you scale your business. Everyone wants like professional growth.
right? But there's also, so the technology side of this too, and the scaling side, with this speed, you would think you run the danger of more errors, but the reality is that this technology actually reduces the amount of errors that are happening. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Why that happens?
Yeah, mostly just because of the machine learning. If you code a certain GL code to a certain like item with a certain code and description, the system it just doesn't make the mistake. You've mapped it to the GL code, and so it continuously posts that code. So when you see systems that are having a random GL code instead of the one you put in, that's how you can tell it's people doing it for you instead of the machine learning.
And because the
So
coding takes 24 to 48 hours.
right, yeah,
There's a
our
time
system is
delay for
designed.
the
Yeah.
coding, like
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And for example, like one of the biggest, things that we do is we specialize in multi-unit restaurants and businesses. And so when when Factora, the system is determining which location the invoice is for, it's using a number of criteria. It's looking at the zip code first, then it's looking at the state, then it's looking at the town, then it's looking at the address, location, name, number. So you have like 5 different things that can uniquely identify that location. So the bot's not going to miss it. Whereas a person, doing a lookup, might just select the wrong one from the drop down if they're in a hurry to code the 500 invoices they got to enter that day. So, the bot makes a lot less mistakes than people do.
yeah.
And
I always
now,
say
does it mean it's
OCR.
100% perfect? No.
Yeah.
OCR might make a mistake. So if you can even code 95% of your invoices without a mistake, that's still far less than humans are going to make.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And I think the stat was over 70% or something that requires no human eyes on it. You know, to me that feels like that really requires a significant amount of trust, particularly because you're talking about money here, like and
Yeah.
a lot of
Right.
money. So, if I were to ask you how do you quell the fears of a brand that might be used to doing all of these things manually, but now you're asking, computers to take over. How, what can you say to quell those fears
Try
about?
it.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
AP is one of the biggest yet easiest pain points to solve. We're not in your general ledger,
yeah,
right? You can basically take this system, you can start to process transactions and code them, and over time gain confidence in what it's
yeah,
doing, and then start sending it into your accounting system when you're comfortable with how the system is coding everything. Check it in the accounting system. We have customers coming to us now, like, we need to figure out which vendors we don't need to look at anymore, right? These vendors that are on the money every single time, we need to put those in a different bucket. So our customers are coming back to us. We need to even start looking at less invoices at this point.
yeah.
So over time, you just learn to trust the system and seeing what it can do for your business. So that's why we always encourage a pilot for you to try it, work with Factura and how it can work for your business, because not all two businesses are the same. You might have a Wendy's group and a Taco Bell group, may be similar in a lot of ways, but also very different. And that all comes down to their reporting needs and how the system will process the information they need it the way they need it.
And workflows. We can customize any specific workflows to your business. I want to approve every single thing over 5,000, or it needs to go to this route before. Everything is customizable to your business. But also, Paul, like, so much of the time, people that have been doing it manually or with really limited teams or offshore, they're so miserable.
Yeah.
Like they're willing to trust. And then when they see it and we can customize it and help them get where they're going, it's like it sounds corny, but it's like life changing.
No, it is, because this is, listen, people, they want to expand what they do, and this type of work, this workflow is, can be painfully monotonous.
Yeah.
And so you're taking that drudgery, I think, away,
Yeah.
taking that away. And like you said, reallocating human people, resources, team members to do maybe, other things that they want to, branch out. And that should be commended. Matt, my question for you, we're OGC. So Factura is a client of yours.
They are one of the newest clients.
Yeah. So, I mean, so when we look at the ICP of Factura, who the ideal customer, who are these, who are we targeting for these guys?
Literally, we just had the conversation prior to this. This is, and again, I hate using the term no brainer, but
yeah,
if you're accepting money at your business and you're paying bills, you should look at this. And this is what I love about it. I mean, OGC predominantly has been on the technology side, meaning within the POS system, that infrastructure. This is one of the first technologies we've brought on that it sits outside the POS system. Actually, it sits in a completely different department than we typically call on. The odd part is the more I get to know about these guys, man, there's a lot of calls I want to make to a lot of different like franchisees that I know that have, some Wendy's, some Arby's, and other things, and I know they would get a lot out of this.
Yeah.
When I first started talking to them, and we've been talking for, 3-4 months now. OGC wanted to go out and actually test the waters to see if this was something that we could actually bring to market, and we quickly found out it is. So it really rounds out our suite of products, and we're excited to have them on board.
What I know it, and what I dig about with these guys, I try to do a little bit of homework before all of these conversations, but I thought what I was really impressed with just looking at their materials was these guys are pretty well integrated. I mean, who aren't you plugged into? I mean, if you're using Restaurant 365, if you're using Sage, if you're using, name your accounting flavor, you guys are plugging in. Ben, maybe you can talk about that a little bit. Is there a certain customer that you see where you just like, oh, this is going to go through shit, like, shit through a goose, baby. This is going to be beautiful. Who to you is like the perfect customer that has the perfect tech on their back end that you slide right into their DM.
Sure. I mean, so our ICP is rather broad, but there's some
Yeah.
that are better than others, right? I mean, we built integrations with legacy systems in accounting that's just a file transfer, old IBM, Microsoft, Great Plains, et cetera. But the cream of the crop is those folks that are utilizing the Sage Intacts, the Restaurant 365s, and the NetSuites of the world. Anything that's a modern cloud-based system with APIs allows you to get the most bang for your buck out of Factura. So, any
Our newest
multi-unit
integration, don't
restaurant. Yeah.
forget.
Yep. Workday as well that's a newer
Okay.
one that we also have. Yeah, correct. Thanks, Alicia. But any multi-unit company really, and multi-unit restaurants has been the bulk of what we've done, because I mean we were literally designed around a Wendy's and a Tim Hortons franchisee. So when you wrap your software and design the whole thing with your CTO around these types of companies, it's really easy to get the rest to to fall suit. But really, any multi-location business, we've got people that these QSR groups are telling their friends with massage envies and Palm Beach tans and car washes to come check us out too. So we're a great fit for any multi-unit business.
It
in
feels like,
general.
you could slide right in with almost any franchisee, right? So are you
Correct.
working with
Yes.
franchisees that have multiple, you just said it yourself. So, you can have a couple of restaurants, a tanning salon, and
Yeah.
yeah. So it's,
Different
Yeah.
brands. Yep.
A lot of
Across.
these entrepreneurs, right? Yeah, they're looking for opportunities with lots of different brands. So
Yeah.
okay. So
not to
it
have a
need
group.
not be a deal with the mothership. Mothership deals are wonderful. If you go across the entire, the entire franchisor, but
Yeah.
you
Typically,
are
they
working
don't
with
have the most
franchisees.
location counts and the most complexity. So
Yep.
it's the franchisees are the ones that have, the multi-hundred units or whatever it is. So
Right.
it's where our business has fallen more. And I'll say our ideal our ideal customer from the partner side is shops that are managing a few hundred plus locations. They essentially operate like an enterprise direct brand, except they have
Yeah.
multiple brands across their portfolio, and they're typically running everything out of one ledger. Like some shops are totally restaurant 365 shops. Some shops are QuickBooks Online shops. Some shops are they have their own stack, and where do we fit in? But they are in a lot of pain with AP
Yeah.
because they're answering their clients. They're selling their clients, I'm going to pay all your bills. And then they have to deliver it in a certain amount of hours where they can make money on it. So,
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
would
oh,
say
there's a little.
corporate is one of the last places I would start because
Sorry, what, Matt? Where?
corporate would be one of the last
Yeah.
places I would start. Just
Yeah. Same.
my past with Decision Logic, again, that's inventory and everything. I'll in account, they don't really do accounting, but the thing is that corporate usually does not mandate
Right.
accounting system they're on
Anything.
because they know that they have to have accounting systems to work for them.
Yeah.
So unlike, if you're talking about online ordering or whatever that has to plug into the POS system, you have to have corporate approval for that.
Yeah.
You don't for this. So
Accounting's like never.
Accounting is the Wild West when it comes to corporate oversight.
Totally.
Right.
Okay. So, I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago. She was amazing. Her name is Edith Wiseman. She's the president of Fran Data, and she kind of looks at franchisees. Her company, and Popcorn, by the way, has a relationship with Fran Data. But the idea here is that so many technology companies, I think, in a lot of ways, have their sales and marketing, bass backwards, in the sense that they're all going for the home run. They're all going for, corporate, and for corporate to make the deal and to create a mandate that goes across all of their all their franchisees. And we all know how difficult and complicated that can be. I mean, when it works, it's a beautiful thing. But the franchisee, they're the ones that feel the pain. As Edith was telling me, it's like a franchisee is the one that is in the moment. They're operators. You guys mentioned it. They're entrepreneurs. They could be running multiple businesses inside of completely different industries. And so the Factura product and there's other tech like it, are satisfying franchisees so quickly. you're eliminating pain fast. So along those lines, describe for me, what does it take to get integrated? How quickly do you get a Factura off the ground?
Well, Ben, you're taking that question, but I'll just say Ben and I both come from the world of implementing ERPs, which
Yeah.
is life alteringly.
Monstrous.
Yeah, it will just derail your life.
Yeah,
from
you guys are
one to the next.
365, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I
And then
competed
Ben
for
was
you like for 8 years. I mean, you
Oh,
guys are
totally.
nuts. Yeah.
Totally. It's insanity. And then Ben went to Oracle NetSuite and I went to Sage Intacct. So there, 365 is an all in one. So that
Right.
implementation is brutal, but even
Yeah.
implementing like a best in class ERP is brutal. So Ben,
Yeah,
I'll
there's
let you
so
talk
many
about
different
the
facets of an
Yeah.
ERP that you can. I mean, when I used to demo at NetSuite to restaurants, those demos used to be 3 hours. Let's demo financial reporting. Let's demo AP. Let's demo POS integrations. Let's demo fixed assets. Let's demo bank reconciliations. Right now, all I have to do is focus on AP. We focus on one thing and we do one thing right. So the implementation is actually rather quick. I used to have to tell people, in my Oracle days and my R365 days, just to gain credibility as a consultant, to be able to say, yeah, we all know implementation, not exactly cupcakes and puppies, right? Yeah, we know,
Yeah.
or they'll just think you're full of it and they'll tell you to go away. But with Factura, if I said that, I'd be lying, because we do most of the lifting. We know what needs to be done, all the hard things that you could put in front of a customer in terms of an interface to set something up. We don't let them do it because it's a one-time thing. We just knock it out. We just need access to the accounting system. We need a list of your locations, and then we can pull everything from the accounting system. It already has what we need to build Factura. It's got your list of vendors. It's got your GL codes for your financial reporting. You know what I mean? So we just pull the information in.
So you get
Yeah.
a new vendor, I'm a restaurant, I'm a franchisee, whatever. I get a new vendor. I'm plugging it into my accounting system. Factura picks up on it. It's nothing that is this
Yeah.
Ron Popeil set it and forget it type stuff? I mean, what is
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it pretty much is. Setting up the systems actually only takes a few days, but it's training the system how to read your vendor invoices that takes more time. Now, it's two different ways we can do this. You can take 30 days to let your vendor invoices flow in and train the system on each one as it comes in. Or you can just get a one-time dump of all your vendor invoice copies, knock it all out, and then just delete those invoices, but the system holds the setup of how to read them. So then you can just send in all the new invoices and have a code. So you can have it done in as little as 2 weeks or probably, 30 days. Larger companies may have some more optimizations, in the next month, 2 or 3. But I mean, you're pretty much up and running within 30 days less with our solution. And again, we always challenge people to do the proof of concept, kick it off, see for yourself.
quickly do you think that people like what's that metric? The time to value is like 60 days?
Well, I mean, I think it's almost instant, because if you have an eco board or an eco lab invoice and you've got 60 locations,
Yeah.
you train Factura how to read one, then it just automatically codes it for the rest of the locations.
Yeah.
People always ask, so you have to set this up for each location? No, you set up once, because the only difference on that invoice is the location, and the system will select that unique location. So that's, if you're coming from a manual process and you have to process 50 of the same type of invoice, you set up one and then do a rerun on the rest. That's actually instant time savings.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. It makes me think of one of our customers there, Panera, and a Dave's Hot Chicken franchisee. I think they have like 20, 30, 40 something locations. I don't know. They were like hyping us. So they were so happy. And then Ben's like, oh yeah, they're not live yet. They're not like even 100% live. I'm like, what? I was going to ask them for like a referral. They're not live. He's like, no, they're like halfway. I'm like, oh my
and
God.
they love you already?
They're
I
like
love it.
obsessed with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I've never seen anything like it. And I know I come from ERP, but it's pretty cool to see.
That is
Yeah.
dope. All right. We're going to wrap up in a minute, but there's a couple things I just want to go over, and that's the future. All right. So, is there a future for AP, or are you guys, are we in the future?
Matt,
Where else is going to go?
That's the only thing that's left. Just magic.
What about tariffs? Do tariffs fit into this? How can we squeeze tariffs into this conversation?
I
personally think we're in the
software
future right now. I think we're in the future. I think that AI and machine learning and all of everything that we're experiencing right now with bots having tasks and going to do things, even like labor scheduling and things that are outside of our universe of AP. I think we're in the future right now. And I think it's going to be really interesting the way not just restaurants and hospitality adopt to it, but multi-unit everything, our world of accounting. But I think that we are living in the future right now. And I'm like I said before, I really think that it's going to be super interesting to see how businesses can transform without offshore teams. That's
Yes.
my future.
Yes. And I'm wondering, is there, they may be, in fact, even be incentivized to do that.
Yeah.
Certainly, at least under the current administration. So, hey, that's pretty cool stuff. Guys, this has been wonderful. Matt, do you have any follow-up questions that do you think we covered?
Well, I
where we
think
wanted to go?
the Factura folks, you guys are going to be at NRA this coming week.
Thank
Is
you.
it?
Are.
We will be there.
Look us up. I will be there as well. So
If anyone's looking for a good AP time, call me and Ben.
Right.
there you go. You
For the
should use
love of
that
AP.
as a tagline. I like that.
Yes, good. Yes. I mean, if it's really kind of the perfect bar. Oh, there we go. For a good AP time. Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna scribble it on like the walls of bathrooms, like high school. For a good AP time, call Alicia. It's awesome.
Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah, there's
that is
actually Alicia's
cool.
number. I just leave these on the urinals and
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, do not edit this out. This is great.
Oh my God. 867-5309. Call
Yeah.
Alicia. It's fantastic. I mean, listen, if you really want to have a wonderful conversation over some whiskeys and some bourbons, talk about accounts payable. It's okay. So that was a poor
Riveting.
joke. It's riveting.
Yeah.
No, but it is because it's, again, let's end it on a real positive here. Restaurant technology is not just order kiosks,
Operations.
review websites, and KDS systems and POS, man. It is the works, and nobody is doing it as well and as seamlessly as Factura with their accounts payable solution. They are making the lives of restaurant employees, particularly at HQ, so much better. So thanks, guys. This has been really great.
For having us, Matt and Paul. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Paul and
Thank
Matt.
you.
Really appreciate it. Good times today.
See you
Learned a
this
lot.
weekend.
AP times.
See you this weekend. Good AP times.
Be good, guys. Ciao.
Bye.
Morning Sam, morning